You are about to watch something unique. A conversation with Julie Ying Baron. She is a unique character with a unique career. Listen to this. She started her career in commodities at Glencore, then moved to a few major commodity trading firms to finally co-found her own metal trading company, which peaked at 2 billion in revenue. Billion with a B. 90. But it doesn't finish here. Julie and her business partner managed to sell the trading firm, and today she's the CEO of Space Holding, a company focused on space mining. Alright, I'm giving you Julie. Alright, Julie.
Okay.
So, my first question, can you please walk us through a painful moment, one of your worst trade?
Oh, I definitely, I can, never forget about that. I think that's back 2017, 2018. At that time, I already start with my business partner, start our own company. And once you start your own company, everything is, come even, I would say, bigger impact. It's your own money, your shareholders' money. And I remember we at that time had a lot of aluminium. We were one of very, I think, a top distributor in Asia for the aluminium ingots. We hold quite a lot of stock because Asian consumers would like, they call it, they don't want to keep a lot of inventory. So they usually buy inventory as when they need it. Called just-in-time deliver. So we had a lot of inventory. And obviously, you know that we need to hedge. And we usually trying to do the perfect hedging. We hedging properly. But one of the issues you need to manage once you hedge is not so much outright price movement, but more the spread. And I remember, that period of time, the market had so much squeeze, and I think initially the backwardation was around 20, and we okay, for us to move the position will cost us so much money, but we okay, just look at the fundamental. It should be easing, right? Because there are quite a lot of aluminium can be delivered to the shorts, so we were adamant the spread will be easing, but it ended up all the way to $100, and it was obviously very, very painful. Initially, we have to cut the position, and it cost us a lot of money, and particularly as a small company, it costs, blood and tears. Put that away.
Yes,
I
can imagine.
I definitely learned. You cannot, and sometimes you just have to stop it out. Even sometimes you analyze the fundamental and everything, you think it should work out. You pray everything work out, but on these kind of situations, the backwardation can go, like infinite if someone really want to squeeze. It's not like contango, right? The contango, if it's too big, people will just do the free arbitrage, but the backwardation is unlimited. At that time, one should realize and should just cut a loss and get out rather than, till the last moment, pretty much.
Yes,
it hurt.
But
even
till
today.
It's so difficult. But it's so difficult because when you are in this moment, you're like, okay, but if I keep on with my position, it should be good, even though you are already bleeding so much. But it's so difficult to cut it at the right time and say, okay, take a loss. When you hope that you can maybe go the other way with a position. So it's one of the worst moments. Yes, especially when it's your company.
I agree.
Yeah, but
totally.
All right.
One needs to understand what is. One just need to understand what is sunken cost, right? Sometimes you don't want to let it go because you already, like what you said. If I cut, I will lose so much. But sometimes you just need to understand that if you move on, you actually free up a lot of capital, a lot of resource, and potentially cut a loss. And that I learned the hard way.
Yeah, that's tough. All right. So now let's go back in time. And Julie, please, can you let us know how you started in this commodity industry?
Oh my God, that's a long story. So I have to, I do admit I have a very, very interesting career in the commodity because I witnessed the copper price, go as high as like around 10,000 per ton and go as low as around 2,000, 2,800 per ton. I went into the market when the commodity boom literally was still unfolding, and I also see the commodity crashing. And I have seen how small and medium-sized company are able to grow very, very big when the time I joined, because at that time the bank financing is still very, very possible. And then till the tail end, that the small company just so not competitive compared to the big ones, because the banking line is not possible unless you have, literally we are talking about tens of millions. Start a commodity trading house just become more and more difficult. Obviously, depending which of commodity exactly you.
Yeah.
So I
But
think
but you're right. I think for if you do like anything, but metals, you need to have at least 50 million in equity. And now you can
totally
start to have credit line and so on. But below that, even 10 million. I mean, the bank is like, 10
correct,
million. And you're like, what? It's 10 million. It's a lot of money, right?
totally.
So,
Totally,
yeah,
totally. Yeah, the bank is not entertaining anything below 50. But to unwind a bit, how I started my career, honestly, when I started, I had no idea what is commodity trading. It's just I don't know how it happened. I stepped into the world of commodity trading, because at that time I was in Switzerland. I took an exchange program. I studied mechanical engineering in China, and very soon I realized I'm not going to become a mechanical engineer, and I want to go abroad. And at that time, none of my family member ever actually even visit outside China. So it's like I might just have been tell them I go to moon or something. Anyway, um, I applied in many major countries because that at that time, as a Chinese, going to abroad still not that common. And Switzerland is just opening up for a lot of Asian students. So I came to Switzerland without knowing it's a center of a commodity. And then obviously I was looking to what career I should take, banking, finance, private equity, blah, blah, blah. And I have to admit that I'm just not, I'm good with study and pass exam, but I don't enjoy to make spreadsheet and presentation, in front of computer. And I feel commodity trading, because I grew up that's where I reveal my age, which I was born in the middle of the one-child policy. So the whole thing about one-child policy is China, the government, afraid we will run out resources for its people. So we have to have only one child. Like I have a younger sister, so my parents paid massive penalty. My dad paid 14 years penalty for us have two kids, right? And so at a very young age, I know how important is a commodity and resource for country as well as for millions of family. So when I realized I was in the center of the commodity, and there's something called a commodity trading, that yes, you need to deal with to a certain degree in from computer, but more importantly is dealing with people. I come from China. I know how to from survive to thrive. So okay, that's for me. And that's how I entered into space. And I had a very, very high start because I was in Switzerland and I joined Glencore, So it was, and then from there, I joined, a few big commodity trading house and pretty much focus on Asia, particularly China. China was the center of the gravity for a very, very long time and still now. And then in 2016, I opened my own commodity shop, and it was around revenue, 1.5–2 billion. So it's a decent size. And then managed to exit the business, sold my shares, and in a way moved on to the new project. So I feel like I had a very interesting career.
Yes, exactly. So you're like so you did
It's a long
everything basically.
story.
So this, yeah. So you did started in big trading firm, so Gunvor, then a few others major player, and then you move in Singapore to
Yeah.
start your own trading company, and so you managed to like 1.5–2 billion in revenue in metals. It's a big company, man. I don't think there is a lot of companies that do that type of revenue. So even though it was a small commodity trading firm compared to Trafigura or I don't know Mercuria or whatever,
Yeah.
it's still a quite sizable company. And you also exited it, which is very, very, it's rare actually.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to sell a commodity trading firm for a lot of reasons. So you did the full
I know.
arc, so it's quite impressive. So now okay, so you started Viant Commodities. How did it go about? Because usually starting, a lot of people want to start, but you need capital and you need to know how to do it. And what can you please talk to us about those first few months? How did it go about?
Oh yeah, I think we were just very lucky. Because at that time, so me and a few of my colleagues, we already run a very sizable metals desk in one of the largest commodity trading house. At that time, I was already in Singapore. Um, but it was a big firm and it was a major energy trading house. So I think internally there's quite a lot of culture difference, right? The metals trading, our clientele is very fragmented. I mean, and very China focused. And there's also a lot at that time. I don't know if you know, from 2000 almost 13 all the way till 2017, there's a lot of financing trades. And I think for a big, I mean, that's one of the top three energy trading house to fully grasp of the metal trading ins and out, the clientele and everything is not easy. And internally, there is a lot of fight for limited capital, the risk appetite and so on and so forth. And we had a client somehow just really, really believed our team's execution, and it's a Chinese state-owned company. And at that time, at that time in China, 2016, they had this new culture to form a PPP, so like public-private partnership. So they very much want to expand to overseas. So long story short, to answer your question, we were just very, very lucky in that conjunction. We realized with the big trading house, yes, at that time with the team, we actually moved a few trading houses already. And okay, we can do that on our own with the capital. And that happened. So lucky play. I mean, luck played quite a big part, I have to admit.
Yeah, I mean, but
Just good
it's like
timing.
luck. What do we say when luck meet preparation? I mean, this is obviously you need to be lucky, but sometimes some people are more lucky than others.
Totally.
So I mean, okay, and so China was your biggest market, and and you did all the ferrous metal, no, non-ferrous metal. So yes, copper, aluminum, all of them. That was what you traded.
Yeah, so we did pretty much, yes, we did all from copper, zinc, lead, nickel, tin, aluminum, all of them.
Oh, okay.
But the copper, nickel, and aluminum was more a focus. Yeah.
Okay, and so my question is like exactly those metals, especially copper, tin. I mean, all of that is very expensive, so you need massive credit line. And one thing, like, okay, your company was quite sizable, but you said that at the end of the company, you could feel that the bank were not willing to support smaller trading firms. So, and how did it go about? Did you feel the wind was changing? So, what was the last few days with the banks?
Oh, massively. I felt that from day one. One thing one doesn't realize is when I trade for a big company with a huge balance sheet, right? Even they have limited capital, but it's a big balance sheet. And you don't realize you just trade, you just get the money from trade finance. That's it. But with your own company, you need to get bank financing. And at that time, in my head, we had a very sizable capital, around 51 million US dollar for Vine as a register cap. We feel like it's really good, sizable, right? And to our surprise, the banking line took nearly a year. The first year, we don't have banking lines. So the business we were used to do, because we pretty much take the whole desk to Vine, right? All the people we work together. So the business we used to do, suddenly we cannot do, because without bank financing, yeah, 51 million is a lot, but you need to reserve certain money for hedging, for the margin, and some money for the cash flow. And all of a sudden, you can only do 3, 4 trades at a time, which, and I think it's a lot to do relate to the Qingdao issue, as you probably already know. I think that happened in 2014-15. There's a massive fraudulent case in Qingdao where basic cargo has been double financed. Ever since that moment, I think the bank realized, wow, they have no control what happened in the market, or what no control on the exactly trade operation. So the bank has been stepping back. They only want to lend to the big name. Big name, no matter what, even they don't know ins and out of every step, but at least they have a big bank's balance sheet as
Yeah.
buffer. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it is massively painful. I remember that every time we do, even after we got bank line and from the European banks, which are very, at that time, very active in commodity. I remember the information we need to provide to the banks in order for them to say a very simple plain vanilla trades. So I think ever since 2016, the wind has changed. And ever since, I mean, we exit in end of 2021, that 5 years, majority of my effort was not with the client and the supplier, and it was with the banks. I don't know now, but I only assume things getting worse because the amount of control.
Yeah. No, this
Yeah.
is crazy. But now, even like making a payment with a bank, it's getting difficult. Just a payment. So this is it's not getting easier. So all right. So basically, at the end of the career, you were basically managing the banks more than the trade, and it took more of your time to just get the credit line rather than speaking with the client, with the suppliers, and so on. But that's pretty common story. And what is okay? What is for you the biggest difference, financing aside, what is for you the biggest difference between the big major, I'm talking like Glencore, Trafigura, and so on, and the small commodity trading firm? What is the biggest difference for you that worked actually in both?
Oh, once you run your own company, which you know, because you are running a few of commodity companies, pretty much everything lands on your table. From the shareholder issue to bank financing line to the coffee machine break, everything lands you to your table for whatever cannot solve. I think the major issue for me, the biggest issue is, I think a couple of things. One is hiring, right? When you have a big name, right? All these Glencore, Gunvor, Noble, whatever, Trafigura, Mercury, the talents naturally they come. Doesn't matter, it's operation, logistic, finance people. When you are small, medium size and attract talents, particularly in a country, Singapore, is not easy because somehow I feel, okay, that's my personal experience. I mean, that might be different, but I feel a lot of graduates or a lot of young people, they like to go to the brand names, and which make at that time Vine as a medium-sized trading house not easy to attract talent. And you know, in the physical trading, there's one thing is guaranteed, is you don't know what happened next day. Something will go wrong on the shipment, something will go wrong with the letter of credit, something will go wrong with the payment. And there's a lot of stress. And my feeling is, okay, that's again my experience. The young people in Singapore not necessarily take stress very well sometimes. Okay, I mean, okay, I'm maybe
No, okay, Julie,
but in general, nobody wants to stress.
Okay, so this is all right.
Yeah,
so I can talk about that because I have the shipping and commodity academy, and I have a lot of young students, and definitely in Asia. So we can talk about Singapore and Europe. Singapore, yes, you are 100% right. So people they want to work for the biggest brand, and I mean it's quite the same in Europe, but it's still there. In Europe, they are way more open to work for a smaller company but in Singapore there's like the top five, and if it's not the top five, they just don't even they just don't want to hear about it. So you're completely right. There is a big difference.
Correct.
But so okay,
so
hiring.
Hiring and very much bank financing, because we are operating in non-ferrous metal. In a way, I'm competing with my ex-employer, and I know what kind of balance sheet they have. I know what kind of interest rate they are getting, and I'm paying like 2% annual interest above the whatever the base rate they are getting. Let's just say if they are getting overall 4%. I'm at least paying 6 or 7%. How I'm competing with them. And another thing is I want to mention is when you work in Glencore, when people doesn't perform the contract, I mean, okay, not necessarily Glencore, but the Glencore, Trafigura, all these big guys,
Yeah,
you can go
yes,
hard
yes.
with your counterparty because you know you have a legal team on your back to go after them. But when you run your own company, the last thing you want is to go for a legal battle. So you need to find a solution. You need to solve it. You can't afford it. So I think
So
that
this is
is
yeah.
massive
This
difference.
is this is a big difference for sure, and I can talk to about that. So I have a friend. He works in one of those big company, and basically he said like, look, we had an issue with a miner, and 5 years down the line, they basically got the mine because of the mega legal battle, and so they just got the asset of the guy.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
and like, but if when it's your company, you can't do that. You're just like, okay, the guy is basically is scamming you. Everyone knows that he's scamming you. There's no, but still, you need to make it work with that guy because you cannot afford to fight the guy for 5 years
totally.
to get whatever thing.
5 years.
So then that's
Yeah, 5 years
yeah.
legal battle, whatever. Yeah, no way. Totally.
Yeah,
I
you're
agree.
right. I
That's a
haven't thought
pain.
about that, but
So you have to be
it's a big difference.
totally. So suddenly, when I deal with a client, yes, they can give me all these, if we do prepay, they can give me all these guarantees, even personal guarantee. In my head, well, I never will have the time and resource to enforce these personal guarantee if they don't perform. So what I need to do, I need to send the people on the side. I need to control the bank token. I need to control the inventory. I need like really solutions to control rather than counting on the legal document. It's totally different dynamic.
Yeah, it's completely right. So one thing that we did is like we basically in a mine we just had a little warehouse. It was our warehouse with our guy, and basically when they finished mining, they put it in our warehouse on their mine, and then we pay bit by bit. But it's like it's a hassle operationally to make it work. But this is the only way because you can't trust the guy with like a $500,000 prepayment that is going to blow it, especially in Africa. So this is why we did. But you need to come up with like other solution to make it work. But this is also one thing. Like there's a bunch of counterparty. They don't want to work with the big guys because they are afraid of that. But as a small player, you need to know that if those guys they don't want to do it, it's mean they want to. Be careful because they're not the straightest counterparty.
Totally. And even you said that you have your own piece of like consignment stock in the mine area. But you still need to know the counterparty is a good person. Otherwise, they can block the road. Yeah, you have the consignment. You can't get out. So at the end, I think as a commodity trader, physical trader, it is all about your ability to have intuition of your counterparty. Can you trust them? Can you actually have a leap of faith to do the transaction of millions of dollars and knowing things will for sure go wrong? And that is a key aspect.
One question is like, okay, at your company, you didn't have like have any asset. It was really no asset, a pure trading company, right?
Correct.
And did you have the conversation at the time to buy an asset, a small, I don't know with metals, what would be an asset, but is it a conversation that you had or not really?
Oh yeah, definitely we had. We in a way, I mean, we don't have asset in terms equity holding, but we had a lot of prepayment, which in a form of convertible. So for example, we write a check to a lead smelter or scrap yard in return by getting certain of metals. So we give them prepay and it says if things goes well, after prepayment for 2 years, we can potentially convert this debt into equity. But somehow we never really triggered that. So we always want asset light because is something, also with the shareholder, they are not really comfortable for us to hold a lot of physical asset. And to be very frank, I'm a commodity trader. What do I know or run of asset, right? I think it's come off a different specialty and you need bigger balance sheet. And by then our balance sheet is just good enough for us to do the trades with the bank facility. So yeah, overall, we didn't really venture into that.
All right, because now I feel like being a pure trader in the big commodities, like the one that you traded, aluminium, copper, and so on, very liquid market with future market and so on. If you are without any asset, I don't know how you can compete. It's very difficult against in the new environment of today. Maybe it's different in the small niche where there's like more know-how. Okay, you know that there is like, I don't know, you trade a minor metal where there's maybe only 5 refinery that can take it. It's a bit different, but I feel for the big commodity, it's very difficult now to be like a pure trader. Do you have the same read on it?
Oh, 100%. That's why in 21 we almost come to agreement. I think our time is past, By I think, in 2010, 2012, 2013, as a median trading house, you have a major role in these major commodities. But no, later on, it's all about liquidity. It's all about competing funding cost, right? You can hold the inventory, earning the contango if your financing cost is cheap enough and everything. So very soon we feel like we are up against the ceiling, and that's time for us to exit.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So now you exited your company, you sold it, and you invest in space. So please, Julie, explain to us how did it go about? Because space investing for me is like, is it another kind of scam, or how can you make money with that? Please, I like me.
You are not totally wrong because until now I'm just investing. Okay, I have not seen the fruits come out yet. I have so yes, there's a lot of it's a lot longer tenor. It's not like trading, right? You sign a deal, a spot deal, maybe a month later you get your P&L. But this is not the case in space. And with the space tech investment, I have a particular focus of space mining. So how it come about? It's a really interesting story because in 2019, 2020, I got in touch with a company who they are produce robots, right? And that company is also very fascinating. They actually won a contract from European Space Agency to mine the moon. Okay, but the robots they need to test. Obviously, in the moon it will be different because it's a microgravity and all these. But they still need to test. They need to test in very extreme condition, right? Very extreme weather. Now, what is better than the terrestrial mine, right? So in that regard, I got connect with them to introduce them to some big mining house, because big mining house, if they operate in a country like Australia or Canada, sending any human down underground has massive compliance cost. And we as a human, we cannot work 24 hours, right? So there's also some kind of like initiative from the mining companies that they want to use robotic. So it come all together. And at that time, I still think, well, it's totally sci-fi story. What mean mining the moon, right? But then we hit COVID. During COVID, I realized that whole world, right, when we were all isolated, we cannot see each other physically. What most important is connectivity, that I able to see you online and talk to you. But the whole world operate in the sense that you only have 20% place has a data and 80% doesn't. Like in the sea, in the forest, doesn't have data. And that's where space technology is so important. And that really got me interested in space, and where I see, well, okay, now I exit my Earth commodity trading house. What is the next? I still want to go to an area which has massive future, yet I can utilize my past experience. So that's where I'm focused on the space mining company, then helping them to develop a terrestrial application. Along the way, I also invest in other space tech, as I said.
Okay, it makes more sense for me. So this is basically you. So before mining the space, the moon or whatever, you need to test it in here. So basically, you can use your network, your connection, and so to help the company that you invest in to just make it work. But don't align or actually. So do you know the cost of transport is extremely important when you trade. And I guess that to transport anything from the space back to Earth is just too costly. So what is the idea of mining the space? Is it to build
Totally.
something directly in the space? Because it makes no sense to bring it back, right?
You are on the spot. Yes. I started with the space mining with helping some of space mining companies. But later I found this industry is really unfolded because the launch cost has reduced 99.995%. In 5 years' time, all of us will go to space by paying a ticket price of business class because that's happening. To answer your question, what is space mine? Because if we want to bring all the nickel and the copper or even the gold back to the earth, the cost is so high, it can't scale. And you are right on the spot. Bring back its only interim solution. The longer term solution is actually utilize locally. There's already 20 companies building up private space station. And in the space station, they collaborate with big hotel chains to offer space tourism. They also have a laboratory to do space manufacturing and space research. And all of these build out in the space, they need raw material. So the longer term or the end goal of space mining is definitely it's called in-situ resource utilization, basically the on-site utilization. And that's with space manufacturing, with space research and everything coming along.
So it's basically, okay, it's building those factories that are going to be in the space, they need raw material. So you will get them in the space and not on Earth. And that's basically where I can totally buy that. In the future, this is where humanity is going to be, for sure. But when? It's like, okay, Julie, you are 20 years old, no problem. So in 50 years, you'll still be there. But still, I mean, there's like it's not today. Do you have like a timeline or where you can see that happening or not?
Oh, that's a really, really, really good question. I actually think it will happen in our generation for sure to see some of the manufacturing move into the space. That's already happening, right? So, for example, with all the AI, you need durable, better chips, and some of them is better to produce in zero gravity, and you can't simulate that in the Earth. So already some of the manufacturing for like optic fiber is produced in low Earth orbit. To answer your question, the astral mining or moon mining, what is a timeline? And I would say 20 years because the technology is already there. It is more like a chicken and egg. Is that the mining happen first or the supply chain happen first? Well, supply chain can't happen until there is some raw material can come out. And the raw material can't be utilized if there is no manufacturer there. So it's kind of a chicken and egg. But, 20 years seems like really long, really far. But now you and I know because we are in the earth mining industry, we are in the terrestrial mining industry, where you see to get a license, permission, capital, everything ready just for a medium to large size copper mine. It takes bloody 20 years for the compliance and everything else. So yes, it's far, but actually it's not that far. It's all in our head.
All right, that's perfect. Exactly, because if you want to commission a mine, a large copper mine or whatever, it's going to take 15 years at least if you go fast and if everything goes well. And I'm not really even sure we can do that now in most of the country. They will not allow this. So okay, all right. So Julie, thanks a lot for your time. If some people are interested to see what you do in your space holding company, is there like any place where they should contact you?
Oh, absolutely. LinkedIn. So can search my name, Julie Ying Baron, or follow via Space. Both active on LinkedIn as well as Instagram. And so very happy to continue the chat.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Julie. Ciao.
Thank you so much, Damien. Thank you.